Welcome to Sewing Out Loud, the official podcast of Zede Sewing Studio. Here are your hosts, Zede and Mallory.
Sewing Out Loud. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mallory Donahue.
And I'm Zede Donahue.
And Mom just made up a really cool word.
Eucalyptic.
Of or pertaining to eucalyptus flavoring, smell, or sensation. Oh, that was really
chapstick.
Good. Yeah. I was saying that I bought some chapstick and I put it on, and then I was trying to taste things while I was cooking them, and everything tasted sweet. And she's like, well, this tasted eucalyptic.
Anyway.
Like apocalyptic. But
it was eucalyptic.
I liked it. It probably is a word. Okay. Today we're going to do one of our little, I don't call these like our emotional episodes or our therapy episodes, our personal.
Right, which was inspired by a self-sewn wardrobe. Sew Porter.
Marisa recommended this topic.
Well, I think she was talking about a little bit. I don't know. Yeah.
I think the reason it came up is because it was right when we announced the store, the retail location closing
the brick and mortar, right?
Because a few people were really asking for a challenge in the group. We'd done a wardrobe challenge when the group first started, and then people were asking for another challenge. And I like to be kind of open-ended with these challenges a little bit. So I called it I've been meaning to make this challenge. And so I said, you pick something you've been meaning to do, whether it's making a muslin or making the whole garment or fitting the this or I don't know, whatever.
Doing all your alterations, catching up, or whatever.
Some people did non-garment stuff.
Right.
And then, so then I announced we're, closing the retail store. And I say, I'm not going to get my thing done.
Right.
My Kelly anorak.
Well, I didn't get my thing done either, but it was because I changed my mind and I don't really want that like it was.
Hey,
like
no
what
judgment.
I wanted was not good.
So I said, I'm not going to get my thing done. Let's continue with it. But, Kelly is going in the tube of shame until we get moved back to the house.
Or until you're not pregnant.
Yeah. Oh, and then, so I just keep coming up with excuses.
Or
not to
the
finish
right
this
season.
jacket.
Or
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
So Marisa said, it'd be really cool to do a podcast on sewing through big life changes and stuff.
Or just life changes in general, I guess.
So I think I'm just now becoming aware that life has big changes in it.
Well, how old are you? You 27 still?
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
I'm so young.
I'm 37 years older than Mallory. So I think I've had more changes than her.
I feel like I don't mean to say I've got like everything figured out or anything, but certain things people would say to you as a young person that you just had no idea what they were talking about are becoming very clear to me now. Or when I was pregnant with Zelda, people be like, well, it goes by so fast. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever,
Yeah.
And it does. Or people saying family is so important. And when you're living in your parents' house in a supportive environment like I had, you're like, I mean, sure, family is important. But then when you got to go, like, live on your own, you're like, oh, crap, yeah, that's important, you just don't realize. Or are trying to think other little cliches.
I'm on the other end of this.
Yeah, you done been through
all
the
No,
changes.
what happens to me is people tell me about their epiphanies, like, oh, guess what? Now that I have a baby, this is happening. And I'm like, yeah, well, that happened when I had babies too. Right. Or they're telling it to me like it's news.
It's never happened.
Right.
To
like
anybody.
it's news. And I'm thinking, sweetheart, I'm 40 years past there. Been there, done that. But I mean, I don't say it. But it is funny how people will tell you things like they're the first one on earth who's ever experienced it.
Sometimes what do people say? There's somebody said, like, you need to get to know your baby. Right after I had Zelda. Like, or this had been said to me before, or you're going to get to know your baby. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess so, right? Like, you're going to be with it all the time. And, like, Lindsay was with me at the hospital at some point after Zelda was born. And Zelda was hooked up to all this stuff. She was born early. And then I started to realize that I could, like, tell what was going to happen with her sometimes. And I was like, you really do get to know.
Right.
But then I felt like, who am I going to tell? Like, who's going to believe me? Who, if someone were to come ask me, like, what happens after you have a baby? And I'm like, you're just going to have to see for yourself.
It's also something that you do need to experience. You can't tell anybody, like, I think I said something recently to one of your friends who has a fairly new child of some sort. And I said something like, yeah, do you wonder, like, what about all that time you had before you had a kid? And they're like, yeah. What was I doing?
What the hell was I doing?
We must have been just like sitting around doing nothing,
right.
or whatever. Yeah.
So there are some things in life, I guess, we'll get to sewing, that you just don't know
many things, you can try and be empathetic, but till you've been there, you don't know what it feels like or what it's like.
Or I think that having a broader range of experiences gives you more opportunity for the empathy, because you can be like, I had no idea what this was going to be like beforehand. So what this person's talking about, I can realize that I don't really have any idea about.
Right. Or I've got to accept face value of what they're saying because I don't have any in-depth knowledge of this.
Right.
They're probably not fooling me. They're probably really experiencing this. It's probably real.
Yeah. So you've lived a life, Mom. Quite an interesting one.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh. And so you were sewing when you were working as a nurse.
Oh yeah.
And you worked as a real estate agent for a little bit.
I did that.
You sewed for people.
I have.
You worked at a sewing store.
Yes.
And then you owned
a fabric store.
And a fabric store.
Managed a fabric store.
And then you owned a sewing store.
Right.
And now you
and sewn for theater.
Costume.
It's all been in there.
Now you don't own a machine dealership anymore.
No.
Now you're a celebrity.
Oh, is that it? Oh, thank you. So
what do you think that there were any times, I'm just going to ask this because it kind of relates to what we were talking about with me, what was the time in your life where you sewed the least?
Whoa. Maybe college probably, except what I was doing in college was I was doing alterations. So it was like flower child time. It was hippie time, and people were bringing me their jeans to put big godets in the side of them, like, flower power, stuff like that. So that, I was making like pizza money.
Right.
To do that. And then the other thing I made is I made these little straps that like you could Velcro around your big bell bottoms so that your bell bottoms wouldn't get caught up in your bicycle chain.
Oh, so it made them skinnier so that you
could... Well, yeah, it was just, it's just a band.
You wouldn't get oil all over them or whatever.
Right. And usually what they could do is they could take that band and, like, Velcro it around their knee, which gave them another, like, design element. So they would, like, there was this band of fabric, and it was usually flowery or whatever, and they Velcroed that around, like, the top of their knee, like, and then when you got out of class and got on your bicycle, you went down to your bell bottom and folded it over, and so that was of my own design.
Hey.
So people saw me with that. And they were like, "Oh, where'd you get that?" And I'm like, "I made it." So and Velcro was happily invented around that time. Okay?
That's a good tool for that kind of thing.
Right.
Because you wouldn't be adjustable.
That's right. So I didn't like construct a lot of garments. So anybody who's studying or anything, you didn't. You know that. You were, if you're in school, you're occupied so much by school. And certainly in nursing school, you don't have time to do anything.
Right.
All you do is prepare for your next day of clinical.
Mom is educated as an RN, for those of you who don't know.
I would say those were but I still sewed. Or I was still repairing. Well, I also was certainly hemming something,
right? For
because
yourself,
it wouldn't fit me. But I would say that was the least. And then when we actually moved from St. Louis to Columbia, I did not have my sewing machine available to me for like 6 months. It was packed away because I packed it up when we were leaving St. Louis, and then I don't know how well you remember all this, but we came to construction. We were building this house. You do remember?
My entire life, we've been building a house.
That's right. It just keeps getting bigger, but it was drywall dust. It was we all learned to walk on 16 inches on center because some places didn't have floors.
Mom, we just recorded another episode on buttonholes before this, so you probably listened to that last week. But like, Mom can sew, but we can also like put up walls drywall. What else? You do. We do some things.
There's things. There's not much that we can't figure out how to do.
How to make, you know.
Yeah, we make a lot of stuff.
I just listened to S-Town. It's a podcast. Right. I don't know if you've heard of it, but the guy restored clocks. I don't want to give anything away because it's like a mystery. But I'm like, oh, maybe I can get into that right now. You know?
Yeah, sure. Let's pick up some other hobby. Well, I think your sisters and you used to say between me and Jerry, my husband, your dad, that we think you can make anything. You know, we just need to bring you the idea, and between the two of you, you can figure out what to do. And it really is pretty much true.
Jerry build the thing, you sew the cover or whatever.
Right. Or, I hold this end, he saws that end or whatever. So, I don't know. Recently, I went into the crawl space and placed a jack up under our house. Did you know that?
That's right.
Yeah.
You should have gotten paid
I know.
$10,000
I
for that,
saved us $25,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. But it was really bizarre. But anyway.
So the time you sewed the least.
Those are the two times I think I sewed the least. The rest of the time I was always, it was, for me, besides being a creative outlet, I felt like it also had a calming effect on me. And it was something, especially when everybody was little and running around and you're trying to raise these children and you have no idea what they're going to grow up to be. Mm-hmm. Like maybe criminals, I mean, who knows? But I could sew something to fruition. I knew what it looked like and I was accomplished and I could see it. So it was a tangible thing that I did because no one was grading me or letting me know if I was like raising these children properly or feeding them correctly or any of that. It's pretty much a crapshoot.
I have a little bit of the feedback thing going on right now, just in these few days since we've closed the store.
Yeah.
I'm like, no one sees me right now.
That's right.
I'm not in
you're not in the public every day.
I'm not in a place for public consumption.
Right.
And we have customers online. Like there are orders that I'm shipping, and
we are doing things. I mean,
I'm posting on social media.
You're posting, you're texting things.
Oh yeah.
So you're in communication with people,
and we're very active.
You're not really isolated, but you're not seen.
But I'm sort of like, okay. Well, this is a big adjustment for me because I am used to going and just being available. And people would, I almost said another word, complain about our hours sometimes, like us not be. And I'm like, I feel like I was just there for people all the time.
Well, I think like anyone's work, people are like, oh, well, you're not open on Monday, but they didn't know we were working on Monday.
Right. So I felt like I was available.
You feel like you were owned.
Yeah. And, now I was like, oh, I'm going to do my laundry and check the email at the same time.
You can multitask a little bit better.
It was.
Well, what I noticed.
I'm worried a little. I feel a little bit of anxiety.
Right. What I noticed today was I happened to get up later than I usually do. But I didn't have to get ready.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to transport myself from one place to the other and stop and get gas. So that was kind of nice. I didn't know I would enjoy that. All I did was wash my face and put on sunscreen and,
Well, I'm glad I got a little bit of the, what do I want to say, the fear in me because, I want to be productive and stuff, but
I don't think production's your problem.
Yeah, I will be. I am. Okay, so
sewing through life's changes.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about, we have someone who's worked at the shop that was just recently also diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's losing her hair. And I'm thinking, oh, somebody I've got to sew a hat for.
Well, and she said, I'm going to be making headscarves.
And she'll be making them, and you know what? She will do an excellent job.
Yes, she will.
And she'll do more than excellent. I know what she'll do.
She wouldn't have trusted anybody but you or her to make them anyway.
Right. She's not going to take them from just anyone.
No.
Right.
Hey, well, before we talk about sewing through more changes in life, let's go ahead and take a message break.
Hey, Mal.
Hey, Mom.
I heard you were easy.
Oh, no.
What does that mean?
No, it means what you really heard was, wow, Mallory, your easy tee looks so good on you.
Oh,
yes.
that, I should have known that it was something about something you made.
Like you said, you're getting into your golden years. Sometimes, mishearing things. It happens.
No, you're
right?
the one that mishears things. I know this. You make lapel pins about it.
Okay, so I am currently wearing an Easy Tee, and I wear them all the time. The Easy Tee is a semi-fitted, short-sleeve T-shirt made out of a woven fabric, and you draft the Easy Tee to fit your measurements by taking the Easy Tee class.
Well, how do I take this class?
It's an online class that you can watch anytime on sewhere.com. To purchase the class, go to sewhere.com/EasyT. That's just EASYT.
Is this on my computer?
It's on your computer. It's on your phone. It's on your iPad. The class is divided up into short, easily consumable segments, some of which you may not ever need to watch ever again, but some of which you might want to revisit. So you have the ability to mark lessons as completed and also to star lessons so you can go back and revisit the ones that are most important to you.
And I can vouch, Mallory's Easy Tee is a lot easier than Mallory is.
Once again, go to sewhere.com/EasyT to begin your pattern drafting journey. Sewing out loud. And we're back. So, do you want to ask me about Sewing Through Life Changes, Mom?
I guess, I was thinking about this, like, when people ask me, did I teach my children to sew or whatever? And I never did force it upon anyone or pretend that you had to do it or, so Hillary sews a little bit. Lindsay used to wind bobbins for me. She used to get a charge out of that. You were the one that took interest.
Yeah.
But Hillary had her music. I mean, everybody had, like, their own thing, sort of. You were a little bit more... what should I say? Graphic and artistic in that way,
yeah,
maybe?
I drew more.
Right.
Like drawing, painting.
You did more tangible art versus
visual art.
More visual art. Like
Man.
Hillary was very much, she had her music.
I'm having a little bit of vertigo right now, like thinking about back then. I'm like, why did I want to sew? When did I want to sew? And I can't. I just did it.
Well, I think high school got you going with the costuming.
Yeah, but
because before that, though, you would come to me and say, I want this sewn.
Right. I would draw you pictures.
She designed.
Yeah.
There were little pictures in crayon, like when she was 6 or 8, going, can we have this? Can we make this? That kind of thing.
I went to a ball one time.
Yeah, you were only like 11.
Yeah, and I designed that dress.
You did.
And you made
drew
it.
Yeah. And I think it truly was like crayon or marker or something that you drew it in.
I think you have it somewhere.
Oh, do I?
I thought we came across it.
That would be really cool. I think I have the dress. I don't know if I have the drawing.
I thought you showed. Maybe I'm just making that up. I don't know. But yeah, we have the dress, and it was, oh gosh, such. I was born in 1989, and so this is when I was 11 that this dress was made. And it is so, like, late 90s, early 2000s. It's a spaghetti strap top with, like, a V front. It's got beads on it. It's like...
It was purple and
green.
It
teal.
was aqua. Yeah, like a teal and a purple.
So I always designed stuff like that. I think...
Well, you designed every single prom dress.
Yes.
And some homecoming things, I guess.
But, I think a big... turning point for me, which is kind of funny because I'm not at this very moment. I haven't sewn, at least in 3 weeks because of moving the store.
Right.
I don't think I have sewn.
I don't think I've sewn for about 10 days, maybe.
I made that skirt.
Right.
Was the last thing I made. Oh, and you know what? I screwed up the hem and I need to repair it.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet. So I haven't sewn in a while. That's a while for me. But
the only sewing I've done is to do a video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that I did that I was surprised at myself is I did have a little baby, and I got so upset or frustrated with my pants situation.
Right.
That I made those pants. And I was like, I made time for it. after I had that baby.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, I can make time for it again. And I think right now, I mean, everybody might be tired
First
of hearing
of all,
this.
I think we have to clear that workroom
Right,
table.
right. We got
It's
like
awful.
the 2 computers off the cutting table.
Right.
But I think right now I'm really tired. It's not so much about the time. And I
Right.
think I'm tired due to like the pregnancy and the move,
when
you know?
Marisa says, sewing through life's changes, I think there's inspiration in situations too.
Right.
Or, I had that surgery on my leg. Took like a veal cutlet out of my leg.
Right.
This big chunk out of my leg. And I had this, I dealt with that dressing for like 3 months. So I needed pants.
Right.
Like, now, somebody else would have had to like figure out how to go buy these pants that worked correctly.
Right.
And I knew what kind of fabric I wanted. I knew how I wanted it to fit, so I just made them up in my head, and then I went and made them.
Right, right.
Actually, I'm still wearing them, even though I'm not wearing a dress. I mean, they're like my favorite pants.
No, so I sometimes think that like a big life change can mean you don't sew for a while, or it can mean you're inspired to sew something.
Or it means like someone's getting married and you're making every
A bunch of
garment
wedding
for
dresses.
the entire
Absolutely.
everyone.
Or a bunch of costumes.
Or there's a need. Well, yeah, I mean, I did a lot of costuming, when you guys were in school, because that's what you were doing. You were
Right.
performing.
Oh, yeah.
But, I'm getting ready to make Elliot's dance costume, which I wind up doing every year.
Last time I sewed was fixing Derek's pants. I think the thread is still on the machine.
Yeah,
right now.
sometimes that's how you can tell. You can go,
Yep.
look.
Oh, okay.
I
enjoyable.
was making the picnic table seat covers, for myself and for some friends. So when we go camping, we have cushions on our picnic tables, benches. But so people. I remember people at the shop saying, "We haven't seen so and so for a long time," and I would say, well, all of her kids are in all of these activities, and they're like 9, 11, and 14. So she's
Right.
driving everyone everywhere.
Well-
no, she's not coming to the shop.
And sometimes we'd get this feedback even from like employees. A lot of our employees were kind of like dedicated hobbyists.
Right.
Say, hey, we need to teach this class again, and they're like, well, don't they all know how to do that?
No,
Say,
it's not the same people. Right.
well, or it would be. Or they'd say,
Right.
that lady came again. And I said, not everyone sews every day.
Or everything.
Yes. Or,
Right.
but like, they may have taken the class a while ago
Right.
and then had those, kids and all those activities and stuff. And we do get to sew every day.
Right.
And these people who I'm talking about, teaching the classes and
Right.
stuff, they would sew every day. The knowledge never like left them,
Right.
And I think about, like, I haven't done ballroom dancing in a while.
And we did some of those costumes.
So if somebody said, hey, go do the Viennese waltz with all these
have to
moves
think it
right
up a
now,
little
I'd have
bit.
to be like,
Yeah.
what? Maybe I need a refresher,
Right.
So I try to think of it like that, and I think
It'll
that
come back to you,
that's right.
but you need somebody to Well,
So not everybody gets the consistent access to like the space of the sewing machine and everything like that all
Right,
the time.
right. And again, through life's changes. So a lot of people get the urge to sew when they have a baby.
right.
Or they get the urge to start sewing when they're in high school because they want to make their prom dress, and then maybe someone's making a wedding dress, and so it goes with your life. And then now you're sewing for babies. Then you're sewing for, all of a sudden you're doing something for a ball team
Yeah.
because your kid's on the ball
Right.
team, and then you're sewing for theater because your kid decided they're going to do that.
Well, and I think
mean-
we all have different views of that, because I remember being like, oh, I'm going to get like less done now that I have a baby, like less sewing. And it's like, well, when sewing's your job, maybe you'll get less sewing done with a
Right.
baby. But like, if sewing's not your job and you're sort of like looking for a new hobby,
Right.
and you're sewing more than you did before because you never sewed before.
There was something about having children that I almost started sewing more again. I think it was sort of a nesting thing. And I was home, and when you were down for a nap,
Yeah.
I took the opportunity to sew. And I always had a place where I set up my sewing and it stayed up. It wasn't up and down. It was significant enough to me that I needed a space where my sewing machine was
And
readily
that's-
available.
That's Zede's biggest tip. when people talk about how do I get more sewing done, and I know it's not possible for everyone at every stage of life, what we're talking about, but the biggest thing that you could do for being able to sew more often is have a place where you can have like your machine, your stuff
there, it's ready,
set up.
Right.
You know,
you don't have to totally clean up maybe every time you stop, or there's a door you can shut.
Yeah, there's a door you can shut. You don't have to like put the machine completely away.
Right.
There are some really cool cabinets out there where you can sort of like shut the door on.
Now they're like Murphy cabinets. You put them down, and there's a table for your sewing machine.
So I understand that everybody has like a big studio space or something.
Well, and a lot of people, how often have we heard lately, especially with the baby boomers retiring, oh, now I'm going to retire and I can sew again.
Yeah.
They're not going to work every day. They're not tired and fatigued from going to this job every day. And they're so happy to get to sew and create and think, about something other than, what that job was.
Well, and now, so this is like going to be very new to me. Like the situation we're in now. So I went.
What do you mean? It's new to me too.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I know. Who's ever stayed home? Right? Who's ever got to like stay home?
So you bought the shop when I was like 16 or 15.
I think you were 15. Yeah.
15. Yeah, something like that. And I worked there in high school.
Right.
And Mom gave me commission when I sold sewing machines because she's so nice. And then
that was a mistake.
And before that, before you owned the shop, we worked at David's Bridal together for a minute, right?
I opened and ran the
alterations
department.
I sound like such a loser. Okay,
you haven't had any. You had one little job.
Here we go. I'll talk about what a loser I am. So I work at the shop, like through high school and college, and like my college. I'm really impressed with people who like do work through college. I was in kind of a unique college situation. I was in a 3-year program where you're supposed to get all this done in 3 years. And I was in a dance program, so we had like rehearsal every night. And, I was lucky to get to work with you and have such flexible hours, because sometimes we'd have rehearsal on the weekends. Sometimes we'd have rehearsal. I'd be in school from like 8 to 10, So I got to work there. And then I graduate from college and I'm sort of trying to like figure out what I want to do. And then you get sick.
Right. I literally went to the hospital one day while Mallory was
at the store. Yeah.
It was a Saturday and Mallory and I were going to both be working, and instead I went to the hospital that day.
Yeah. I graduated in May and you had to go to the hospital in December of 2010. And then I was running the store.
Right.
So I've always
and it was. We had a lease coming up at that time, the end of the lease, and it was like, okay, what do we do? And we had no idea, where I was going to be physically. And we said to you, what do you want? And you said you thought you wanted to do this.
So I've run the store sort of like I called myself the manager. I kind of like ran.
The manager is the person that gets to run the store and doesn't have to invest their own money.
That's right. So
they get to do whatever they want, but somebody else pays for it.
So
that's it.
running the store, opening the door,
hiring, firing, purchasing.
Yeah, like trying to do everything right, and selling the machines and everything, trying to do my best. So that's what I've been doing for the past like 6 years, and that brings us to right now.
Right.
And so, like, I feel like I have a much better focus now in terms of sewing. Like when we were running the store, I felt like we had to try and be like all things to all stitchers. When you're running a sewing store and someone comes in and buys a machine from you and they're like, I need to know how to make this do such and such. Right. I need to know how to make this do this, and it would be quilting, and it would be home deck, and it would be free motion quilting, and it would be garment sewing, and then we fought to kind of get the garment sewing back. And now where we are is we've built this community and we have this audience who just like they found us because of
what we do.
Because of what we do.
Right.
And
it was like we had a certain polarization that worked.
Yeah. So we say, hey, this is what we're doing, and then people come to us and say, great, I want to learn more about that.
Right.
Which
you can if your audience is the globe.
Right.
Right.
In our town, the garment sewing population was not like as large as what we reach.
Big at all.
And so now I feel like I'm really able to focus because, I could show someone how to get a scant 1/4-inch seam. I could show someone how to do like fake trapunto.
Right.
I could show someone how to do this and that and the other thing because I think we're good at
how to miter a corner, how to bind a quilt,
how
whatever.
to do this. I could, and now I'm like, okay, we get to focus,
we can choose our focus.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. And this is something that I find to actually be like a big luxury right now.
Okay.
I find it to be, I'm sort of a part of all these groups of like bloggers and stuff. Now, they're not all sewing bloggers.
Right.
But everyone talks about sort of like niching down.
Right.
And
this is our niche.
And now we get to, and I'm really excited to talk. Now, garment sewing is a huge niche,
right.
from our point of view. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to produce, a lot of media to create. But I'm excited to be able to focus on that and not have to run some things that weren't necessarily right where my heart was.
Right. Well, no, I think that this is our passion, both of us. I think we're good at the podcasting. You're good at the live broadcasting. So those things and that combination are working well for us.
I mean, being a shop owner carries these responsibilities, of helping your customers.
The shop, owning the shop, having the shop as part of your experience is absolutely invaluable.
I'm grateful for it.
In fact, I think about some of those bloggers and opinions I hear about people who own shops or where they went to, and I'm like, you have no idea where you're coming from when you criticize these people, or you have no idea how difficult this is.
It's
and
hard.
It's not a big money maker, everybody. Nobody gets rich, believe me, without working their butt off.
Yeah, no one's making the millions.
No. In fact, most of them probably have their homes like financed,
it's a labor
over their head. Yeah, no,
it's a labor of love.
It is. So, I think that experience just has, because I've thought about it. Like, maybe should I have ever done that? Maybe we did it too long, and no, I think we took the right path and we're making the right life change.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that I think I'm going to be able to do a lot. I feel pretty like unlimited right now.
So I think that everybody should tell us like what phases they've gone through with sewing.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear about it.
I mean, is there one we haven't mentioned? I'm sure there is. There has to be. Or why you sew. Like, did you not sew out of purpose? Did you sew out of choice? Did you sew out of a fluke? Did someone inspire you? What made you do it?
You mentioned sewing as a calming thing.
Yeah.
And I have seen so many people comment, and I can't speak about this at all. I've seen a lot of people comment in various places on the internet that sewing helped them get through the death of a child.
Yeah.
And
right, absolutely. A lot of the death of a parent too. We've seen that a lot.
A lot of death. Right. And I'm lucky I haven't had to like cope with a lot of that,
right.
in my lifetime. But I'd love to hear about your experiences, and you can comment on this episode. You can go to sewhere.com or sewingoutloud.com and you'll find this episode. You can comment on it, let us know. You can email me, Mallory@sewhere.com, or get a hold of us on Instagram, ZD Sewing Studio. And thank you all for listening to our little, one of our emotional episodes.
There you go. So long and so happy.
Thanks for listening to Sewing Out Loud. For even more expert sewing advice, visit sewhere.com.